The light vanished from Earth as the hegemony ships fired their final attack. Captain Jaiwo Park watched from the bridge of the Endurance. Her home planet broke apart before her eyes. The blue oceans turned to steam. The green continents cracked like dry clay. "All evacuation ships report ready, Captain," said Do-hyun Kim. His voice was calm, but tears ran down his face. Jaiwo closed her eyes for a moment. The weight of 3 billion deaths pressed down on her shoulders. But she had to focus on the living now. "Begin the jump sequence," she ordered. "We carry Earth with us." The remnant fleet held just under 3 million humans, all that remained of a population of billions. They also carried seed banks, animal embryos, and cultural archives. Everything that could be saved in the final days before the fall. As the jump engines powered up, Jaiwo made a silent promise to the dying world below. "We will return. We will remember. We will make them pay." The fleet vanished into the darkness beyond known space, leaving behind only debris where Earth had been. For 6 months, they traveled through uncharted regions. Supply shortages caused hunger. Life support systems failed on 2 ships, killing thousands more. But Jaiwo kept the fleet moving, always one step ahead of possible hegemony pursuit. Finally, they discovered a planet. It had clean water, breathable air, and fertile soil. It orbited a stable yellow star much like Earth's sun. The science team named it Haven. "This is where we rebuild," Jaiwo told the gathered ship captains. "This is where humanity survives." The first years on Haven were hard. They had to adapt Earth crops to the new soil. The days were longer than on Earth. The gravity was slightly stronger. Strange bacteria caused illnesses that the medical team struggled to treat. But humans are adaptable. Within a decade, the first generation of Haven-born children played in fields under the amber sky. The colony grew. Towns formed. Then cities. Jaiwo, now gray-haired and walking with a cane, founded the Memory Keepers. This group had one purpose: to make sure no one forgot Earth or the debt they owed to their dead. "We are not refugees seeking safety," she told the first class of Memory Keepers. "We are survivors planning our return. It may take generations, but humanity will have justice." Every child on Haven learned about Earth. They studied its history, cultures, and geography. They learned about the hegemony attack and why it happened. Earth had refused to join the hegemony alliance. Earth had refused to give up its resources. Earth had fought back. In the evenings, families gathered to share stories of the lost world. Children who had never seen Earth's moon could describe it perfectly. They knew the sound of waves on beaches that no longer existed. As Jaiwo aged, she worried that the desire for vengeance might fade with time. But her fears proved unfounded. The second generation of Haven's citizens were even more determined than the first. Young Salman Han, barely 20 years old, stood before the Colony Council with plans for advanced shipyards. "The hegemony destroyed our world because they feared our potential," she said. "Let's show them they were right to be afraid." The colony shifted its focus from survival to advancement. New technologies emerged. Scientists found ways to use Haven's unique minerals to create stronger alloys. Engineers developed more efficient engines. The military academy trained soldiers who had never known peace. On her deathbed, 90 years after the fall of Earth, Jaiwo gathered her closest advisors. "I won't live to see our return," she whispered. "But you must promise me you'll continue the work." Hanjin Lee, her most trusted memory keeper, took her hand. "The promise will be kept, Captain. Every generation will work toward our return. Every child will learn to hate the hegemony. Earth will have its vengeance." Jaiwo died that night. The entire colony observed 7 days of mourning. Then they returned to their work with renewed purpose. In secret underground facilities, scientists developed weapons designed specifically to counter hegemony defenses. In orbital shipyards, engineers built vessels faster and more powerful than anything humanity had created before Earth's fall. The promise passed from generation to generation. Children swore the oath on their 10th birthday, I will remember Earth. I will honor the dead. I will prepare for the day of return. A century passed. Then another. Haven flourished. Its population grew into the tens of millions. Its technology advanced beyond what Earth had achieved before its destruction. And always, they remembered. Always, they prepared. One day, the stars would witness humanity's return. 3,000 years after Earth's destruction, humanity had changed. The people of Haven were no longer the same species that had fled the hegemony. Their bodies were stronger. Their minds were faster. Their technology had advanced beyond what their ancestors could have imagined. Admiral Minji Kong stood at the viewport of the Haven orbital station. Below her, the shipyards stretched for kilometers. Workers in powered exoskeletons moved between massive vessels under construction. Each ship was designed for one purpose: war. "Admiral, the Council is ready for you," said her aide, Juno Lee. Minji nodded and turned away from the view. She had spent 50 years in military service. Her body showed few signs of age thanks to genetic modifications that all Haven citizens received. At 73, she looked no older than 40 by Earth standards. The council chamber was filled with the 12 leaders of Haven society. These men and women represented military, science, production, and governance. All were descendants of the original Earth survivors. All had sworn the promise. "Admiral Kong, please share your findings," said Counselor Heian Seo. Minji activated the holographic display in the center of the room. A detailed map of the galaxy appeared, with Haven at one edge and Earth's former location highlighted at the other. "Our deep space probes have successfully infiltrated hegemony territory," she began. "We now have current data on their military capabilities, defensive systems, and leadership structure." The council members leaned forward. This was the moment they had waited for since their ancestors arrived on Haven. "The hegemony has grown complacent over the millennia," Minji continued. "They believe they eliminated the human threat completely. Their technology has advanced, but not at the rate ours has. Our simulations indicate we now hold a significant tactical advantage." "What about Earth?" asked Counselor Taehyun Ryu. Minji's expression darkened. "Earth no longer exists as we knew it. The hegemony has strip-mined the planet for resources. It is now a major industrial hub in their empire. The oceans are gone. Most of the surface has been excavated. It is no longer blue and green, but gray and black." A heavy silence fell over the room. Though none of them had ever seen Earth except in historical records, the news still hurt. Counselor Jaya Park broke the silence. "Then the time has come. 3,000 years is long enough." "Yes," agreed Heian Seo. "The promise must be fulfilled." The council vote was unanimous. Operation Phoenix was authorized to proceed immediately. In the weeks that followed, Haven became a world focused on a single goal. The ships that had been under construction for decades received their final components. Crews trained day and night in simulators. Weapons were tested and refined. Minji selected her flagship, a vessel named Vengeance. At 2 kilometers long, it was the largest ship ever built by human hands. Its hull contained metals not found on Earth, strengthened by manufacturing processes developed on Haven. Its weapons could destroy a planet if necessary. The night before the fleet's departure, Haven's citizens gathered in city squares across the planet. They sang the old songs of Earth and recited the promise together. Many wept, knowing that the dream of 30 generations was finally becoming reality. Minji spent that night reviewing tactical plans with her senior officers. Hyunwoo Jang, her second-in-command, noticed her distraction. "Are you concerned about our chances, Admiral?" he asked. Minji shook her head. "No. Our forces are superior. The element of surprise is ours. I'm thinking about whether vengeance is truly what Earth would want us to seek." Hyunwoo looked surprised. "The promise has guided us for 3,000 years. Are you suggesting we abandon it?" "Not abandon," Minji clarified. but perhaps reinterpret. We go to deliver justice, not merely destruction. The hegemony must answer for their crimes, but we need not become what they were. The next morning, the Phoenix fleet assembled in orbit around Haven. 500 warships, carrying the hopes of a world that had never forgotten its origins. 1 million soldiers and crew, all descendants of Earth's survivors, all sworn to the promise. Minji addressed the fleet from the Bridge of the Vengeance. Her words were broadcast to every ship and back to the planet below. For 3,000 years, we have remembered. For 3,000 years, we have prepared. Today, humanity returns to the stars not as refugees, but as avengers. The hegemony believes us extinct. They will soon learn that humanity does not die so easily. She gave the command to activate the jump drives. One by one, the ships of the Phoenix fleet vanished into folded space, beginning their journey to the world that had once been Earth. The day of reckoning had arrived. In the vast emptiness of space, the research vessel Horizon drifted silently near the outer edges of the solar system. Captain Elena Rodriguez sat in her command chair, her fingers tapping nervously against the console's smooth surface. The ship's sensors had detected something unusual, a signal that didn't match any known communication pattern from Earth or their previous exploration missions. Dr. Marcus Chen, the chief science officer, analyzed the incoming data with intense concentration. His dark eyes reflected the flickering holographic displays that surrounded his workstation. The signal was strange, not random noise, but something structured, deliberate. "Captain," Marcus called out, his voice steady but holding a hint of excitement, "we're receiving a consistent transmission. It's not like anything we've seen before." The bridge crew fell silent. Each member understood the potential significance of this moment. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe, and now, something was reaching out to them. Elena leaned forward, her military training battling with her natural curiosity. "Can we decode it?" she asked. Marcus's fingers moved rapidly across the interface. Complex algorithms began breaking down the signal's intricate patterns. Slowly, mathematical sequences started to emerge, not random, but purposeful and intelligent. The signal contained mathematical representations that seemed to describe geometric shapes, prime number sequences, and what appeared to be a form of universal communication based on fundamental scientific principles. It was as if someone, or something, was trying to establish a basic language of understanding. "It's a greeting," Marcus whispered, his scientific composure momentarily cracking. "They're trying to communicate." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence. Decades of space exploration, hundreds of missions, billions of dollars in research, and now, this moment might change everything humanity knew about its place in the universe. The transmission continued, revealing increasingly complex patterns. It wasn't aggressive or threatening, but carefully constructed, like an invitation to dialogue. The mathematical sequences suggested an intelligence far beyond human comprehension, yet deliberately attempting to make contact in a way that could be understood. Elena's mind raced with protocols and potential scenarios. First contact procedures were theoretical until now, discussed in academic papers and science fiction novels. Now, they were reality. "Send a response," she commanded. "Use the same mathematical principles. Mirror their communication structure." Marcus nodded, his hands moving with precision. They would respond with prime numbers, fundamental geometric representations, and basic scientific constants, a universal language that transcended human linguistic barriers. Hours passed. The ship's systems hummed with anticipation. Each crew member understood they were witnessing a moment that would be remembered throughout human history. The alien signal continued, patient and persistent. It didn't demand, didn't threaten, it simply communicated, waiting for understanding. As the Horizon's response traveled through the silent darkness of space, Elena realized they had crossed a threshold. Whatever happened next would change humanity forever. First contact was no longer a dream or speculation, it was happening, right here, right now. The universe had just become a much larger, more mysterious place. In the quiet town of Millbrook, dark clouds gathered both literally and metaphorically. Elena Martinez, a young history teacher, sensed something was changing. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen tension that made the hair on her arms stand up. It started small. Strange whispers in the local diner. Unusual shadows moving at the edge of town. Old Mr. Thompson, who had lived in Millbrook for over 70 years, began telling stories about forgotten legends that nobody had heard before. Elena first noticed the changes when her students started acting differently. They would stare out windows during class, seemingly lost in thought. Their drawings became strange, filled with symbols and creatures that didn't seem to belong in a normal classroom. Tommy Rodriguez, usually a bright and energetic student, would sit quietly, his eyes distant and haunted. The town's infrastructure began to show strange signs. Street lights would flicker without reason. The old water tower seemed to cast odd shadows, even during bright daylight. Local farmers reported crops growing in weird patterns, and animals behaving strangely, chickens facing the same direction, cattle standing motionless for hours. At night, Elena would hear sounds. Not normal night sounds like crickets or wind, but something else. Soft whispers. Distant chants. Sometimes, she thought she saw shapes moving between trees, just at the edge of her vision. The local sheriff, Jack Peterson, tried to maintain calm. But even he couldn't ignore the mounting evidence that something unusual was happening. Reports started coming in from neighboring towns, similar strange occurrences, unexplained phenomena that defied logical explanation. Elena began researching. She dug through town archives, talked to elderly residents, and collected fragments of stories. She discovered that Millbrook sat on an ancient crossroads, a place where different energies supposedly converged. Old maps showed mysterious markings that didn't match modern geographical understanding. Her research revealed that every 100 years, something significant happened in this region. Local indigenous stories spoke of a time when the boundaries between worlds would thin, allowing strange entities to pass through. Most people had dismissed these as mere legends, but Elena was starting to believe there was more truth than fiction. The first real incident happened on a Tuesday morning. A thick, unexplained mist rolled into town, covering everything in a gray blanket. When it lifted, 3 residents had vanished without a trace. No tracks, no signs of struggle, just empty spaces where they had been. Panic began to spread. Some residents packed and left. Others gathered in groups, discussing theories and sharing increasingly bizarre stories. The town's unity was fracturing, replaced by fear and suspicion. Elena realized she might be the only person who could understand what was happening. Her historical knowledge, combined with her keen observation skills, gave her insights others missed. She started documenting everything, creating a detailed record of the town's transformation. Strange symbols began appearing around town, carved into trees, painted on abandoned buildings, etched into sidewalks. They seemed to pulse with an energy that made people uncomfortable. Children would point and ask about them, while adults would quickly look away. As weeks passed, the phenomena increased. Temperature variations became extreme. One moment, a street would be freezing, the next, uncomfortably hot. Electronic devices malfunctioned. Compasses spun wildly. GPS systems showed impossible locations. Elena knew something big was coming. The gathering storm wasn't just meteorological, it was something deeper, more fundamental. A shift was happening, and Millbrook was at its center. The town stood on the brink of a massive, incomprehensible change. And Elena Martinez was determined to understand what was happening, even if it meant confronting something beyond human comprehension. Something was coming. Something ancient. Something powerful. And Millbrook would never be the same again. The storm was gathering, and nobody knew exactly what would emerge when it finally broke. In the vast darkness of space, Captain Elena Rodriguez gazed through the spacecraft's window, her heart heavy with anticipation and uncertainty. The long journey from the distant exoplanet Kepler 452b was finally coming to an end. After 3 years of exploration and groundbreaking research, she and her small crew were returning to Earth with discoveries that would change humanity's understanding of the universe. The spacecraft hummed softly, its advanced systems maintaining a delicate balance of life support and navigation. Elena remembered the moment they first landed on the alien world, how strange and beautiful it had been. They had discovered microbial life forms that defied everything scientists back home had previously believed possible. As they approached Earth's atmosphere, tension filled the compact living quarters. Dr. Marcus Chen, the team's lead biologist, carefully secured the precious samples they had collected. These microscopic organisms could potentially solve some of humanity's most pressing environmental challenges. Each tiny container represented years of research and countless risks taken during their mission. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship. Elena's trained reflexes kicked in immediately. Something was wrong with their re-entry trajectory. The spacecraft began to shake violently, metal panels groaning under extreme pressure. Years of training had prepared her for such moments, but the unpredictability of space travel always kept her on edge. Emergency protocol activated, the ship's computer announced in a calm, artificial voice. Marcus strapped himself into his safety harness, his hands trembling slightly despite his attempts to remain composed. The third crew member, technical engineer Rosa Martinez, was already running diagnostic checks on their critical systems. The heat shield glowed bright orange as they plunged through Earth's atmosphere. Outside temperatures rose dramatically, creating a terrifying cocoon of burning plasma around their vessel. Elena gripped the control panel, making micro-adjustments to stabilize their descent. Years of mission training condensed into these critical moments. Below them, the blue planet gradually came into view. Familiar continents emerged from the cloud cover, looking both alien and deeply comforting after their long absence. The Pacific Ocean stretched out, a massive blue canvas welcoming them home. Something unexpected happened. Their landing coordinates had shifted. Instead of touching down at the planned NASA recovery site in California, they were now heading towards a remote area in the Rocky Mountains. Elena realized they would need to make an emergency landing. With remarkable skill, she guided the spacecraft towards a flat mountain plateau. The landing gear deployed, absorbing tremendous impact as they touched down. Dust and small rocks scattered around them, creating a dramatic cloud that slowly settled. Silence filled the cabin. They had survived. Marcus was the first to speak. "We made it," he whispered, his voice a mixture of relief and disbelief. Rosa began checking the ship's external sensors, ensuring they were truly safe. Elena took a deep breath. Their mission had been successful, but the real challenge was just beginning. How would the world react to their discoveries? The microorganisms they had brought back could revolutionize multiple scientific fields. As they prepared to exit the spacecraft, Elena knew their return would be anything but ordinary. News of their mission would spread quickly. Scientists, governments, and the public would be eager to learn about their findings from the distant exoplanet. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Sunlight streamed in, warming their faces after months of artificial light. They had traveled millions of miles, faced countless dangers, and now they were home. Their spacecraft sat quietly on the mountain plateau, a silent testament to human curiosity and courage. The journey was over, but a new adventure was about to begin. Elena smiled. They had done it. They had returned to Earth with knowledge that would change everything.